If Ivanka weren't my daughter, perhaps I'd be dating her. You know.
Stop it! Oh, it's so weird. Stop. You know what? You are sick.
We can admit this is weird, right? And then in an episode on Howard Stern in 2004, when the legendary radio host commented on Ivanka Trump's looks, calling her a hot piece of A, Trump agreed and said, yeah.
What's the favorite thing you have in common with your father?
Either real estate or golf.
Donald, with your daughter?
Well, I was going to say sex, but I can't relate that.
This is the family values party. This is the leader they anoint. Trump, in that same appearance with Stern, would agree his daughter is voluptuous, commenting on her height and much, much more.
Still, Donald Trump repeatedly points out how hot his daughter is, saying last year in a Rolling Stone article, "Yeah, she's really something, and what a beauty, that one. If I weren't happily married and, her father."
Including not even going right up to the line, but barreling over it. It wouldn't end there. In that same Stern interview, he said, and I quote, "She's got the best body." There was also this embrace at the Republican National Convention in 2018 when his daughter finished her speech and the former president made an awkward, let's say, grab with his hands on her waist. The hits would also, as one could likely and probably predict, continue. Former staffers spoke out on Trump's fantasies.
The article says, these incidents included claims by aides that Trump made lewd comments about his daughter Ivanka's appearance and talked about what it might be like to have sex with her. This prompted a rebuke from his own chief of staff, according to the book.
We would learn, in addition, that aides claim he discussed Ivanka's breasts, backside, and more, which prompted then Chief of Staff, who was John Kelly, of course, to, quote, remind the president that Ivanka was his daughter. This is all in Miles Taylor's book, Blowback, a warning to save democracy from the next Trump, according to Taylor. Kelly retold that story to me in Visible Discuss, close quote. The former staffer with Trump would later say the ex-president is, quote, a very, very evil man, of course, stating the obvious. There was a story that we covered last week having to do with Donald Trump and John Bon Jovi in the running for the NFL's Buffalo Bills when they were up for sale. It was a fascinating deep dive that concluded Trump likely had to do with sabotaging Bon Jovi's bid, which led to neither man securing the team. This came to light via Pablo Torre and his show, Pablo Torre Finds Out, where he interviewed Rolling Stone's Noah Shatman. Another revelation, however, came to light, and it was this. Donald Trump, who passed on buying the New England Patriots from years prior, would become obsessed with the team. And in addition, this guy, quarterback Tom Brady. Now, let's take this in for a moment. We have gone over how obsessive former President Donald Trump is over his daughter, Ivanka Trump. But add somebody like Tom Brady into the fold.
Donald Trump cared a lot about Tom Brady. A lot more than I ever realized.
The guy he was tightest with of all, or the guy that he felt the most connection with, was the man to whom he was giving legal advice through you, which is Tom Brady.
How tight are we talking here?
So tight that I think there's no other way to talk about it, but that Trump felt a sexual energy with Tom Brady. How amazing it would be to have him in his family, and how he should really be having sex with his daughter.
We've also gone over a few quotes from Trump like, according to the New York Daily News, Trump wished the 7-time Super Bowl winner was his son-in-law by marrying his daughter, Ivanka. He would say to Playboy magazine in the year 2004, I could have had Tom Brady. Instead, I got Jared Kushner, which is hilarious in its own right. He'd add, I think Tom's a great guy, and I think he and Ivanka would make a great combination. This has been what feels like a lifelong mission for the former president, while simultaneously eroding the relationship with his actual son-in-law, Jared Kushner. In 2016, Brady was not shy of giving the media and voters a crumb of the cookie by saying, and I quote, "I have called him, yes, in the past. Sometimes he calls me. Sometimes I call him. But again, that's been someone I have known. I always try to keep it in context because for 16 years, you know someone before maybe he was in the position that he was in. He's been very supportive of me for a long time. It's just a friendship. I have a lot of friends. I call a lot of people." Sam Nunberg, who some may remember from this debacle.
The subpoena is absolutely ridiculous. Why should I hand them over every email I've had with Steve Bannon and Roger Stone since November? And you know what? Since November of 2015? Give me a break.
Sam, what about those who might look at this and say you have something to hide, or there's something that you don't want to reveal because now you're saying you're not going to cooperate? What if people think it looks suspicious?
Let them think what they want. Let them think what they want. You know what? I'm the first person to go out here and say I'm not cooperating because it's absolutely ridiculous what they want from me. Katie, should I spend 80 hours going over emails that I've had with Steve Bannon and Donald and Roger Stone?
If you're going to defy a grand jury subpoena, are you worried about being held in contempt of court?
Let's see what Mr. Mueller does.
Are you worried about getting arrested?
I think it would be funny if they arrested me.
Yeah, that guy. So he spoke to Noah Chapman on the basis of rhetoric involving Ivanka Trump from her father, Donald. If unaware, Nunberg, via Politico, had a full-on meltdown to the press over and over and over again. First, he told the Post that he had been subpoenaed by special counsel Robert Mueller, but would not show up. He would then phone in live to Katie Tur's show on MSNBC, telling the host he thought it would be funny if Bob Mueller arrested him for contempt of court, and that, quote, Trump may very well have, close quote, colluded with Russia during the election. Don't tell Jamie Dore. Then he called CNN to assert that Trump did not have anything to do with Russia. Then CNN again and said, well, maybe Trump actually did. He told Politico that Trump could not have colluded because, quote, he can't keep his effing mouth shut, close quote. He repeated variations of his claims on the local news station NY1. Then he would go on MSNBC again, where a fellow panelist seemingly convinced him live on air that he would be looking at jail time, serious jail time, if he did not comply with the subpoena. And then CNN again made his presence known, where host Aaron Burnett asked point blank if Nunberg was drunk. In the meantime, there were interviews with various outlets, including the Associated Press, The Atlantic, the New York Times, Vox, so on and so forth.
He discusses it when he's talking about Ivanka and saying maybe she's going to start going out with Tom Brady. In fact, it was a frequent discussion. If Brady came up with and Ivanka was in the office, she would talk about. I told you he wouldn't be a good husband. He wouldn't be loyal. And Donald would frequently say that Tom knows that Melania is prettier than Giselle. And he would often say, not often is not, but he did occasionally say, don't you think Ivanka is prettier than Giselle? And I actually do. So I would say yes. I would say yes on both fronts.
The weirdness would only continue. On the set of The Apprentice, one female camera operator was harassed by Trump per Slate, as first reported by the Associated Press. Via Rebecca Arndt, Trump would publicly discuss the woman's beauty and how her blue eyes and blonde hair compared to his daughter Ivanka's looks. wrote the AP, quoting Arndt as saying, quote, I remember him, as in Trump, comparing Ivanka, his own daughter, to her, and saying that only Ivanka was prettier. Now, the AP would speak to the husband of the camera operator in question, who denied his wife had been subjected to any unwanted attention. Take that for what you will. Hey, I appreciate you watching. Now, if you can, please do become a channel member by going to youtube.com/TYT Sports and clicking the join button. If that's too much for you, you can just go to tyt.com/join to become a member. It helps all of us out here at the Young Turks and keeps our network afloat. In addition, you could follow me on my socials on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Appreciate the love. Have a great day.